The consultation works best when you come in with three things clear, not organized into a presentation, not polished into something that sounds better than it actually is. Clear, meaning you've thought about each of these areas honestly before we get on the phone. I'm going to walk through each one specifically because I think the more concrete the prompts are, the more useful the conversation will be. The first area is the property. Start with what you actually know about it, not the listing description version. What the property actually is right now, what condition is in, as honestly as you can assess it. What you know about the systems, the roof, the HVAC, the plumbing and electrical. Not because we're going to inspect it on the call, but because your honest assessment shapes what we already think about how to approach the deal. If there are things you suspect but haven't had assessed, say so. If there are issues you know about but haven't disclosed to anyone yet, this is the conversation to bring them into. If the property has title complexity, an estate that hasn't fully settled, a lien that's been sitting unresolved, an ownership structure that's more complicated than a single name on a deed, those details matter and they shape what a deal can look like. The more specific you can be about the property as it actually is, not as you wish it were, or as it was before circumstances changed, the more useful the conversation will be. The second area is your situation. How this property fits into your life right now, what it's costing you every month, not just the mortgage or taxes, but what keeping up with all of it has required from the rest of your financial life. How long this has been going on, what you've already tried, what happened when you tried it, what's been making this harder to resolve than it should have been. The parts of your situation that feel too complicated to explain or too sensitive to share, those are specifically what this section is asking for. Not because disclosure is a requirement, but because the parts of your situation you've been protecting are usually the parts that most directly define how the right solution needs to be structured. If you've been carrying financial obligations that you're counting on this sale to resolve, say so. If there's complexity around who has a stake in the outcome, say so. If there's something about the situation you haven't been able to explain cleanly to anyone before, bring it anyway. Renee has seen a lot of situations. The thing that feels too complicated to say out loud is almost certainly something she has encountered before. The third area is what you actually need, not what you think you should want, not the number someone told you the property is worth, not the outcome you'd have in an ideal version of this situation. What would actually make this feel resolved for you? The proceeds number that would let you move on given everything that's attached to the outcome. The timeline that fits your actual life, not a theoretical version of it, whether speed matters more than price right now. Whether there's a specific obligation the proceeds need to cover that shapes what a workable number actually looks like. Whether there's something about the structure of the deal that matters beyond just the amount, coming into the consultation with that answer. And if it does, what that looks like in practice. The consultation runs about 60 minutes. By the end of it, you'll have a clear picture of whether this is the right path for your situation, what a deal would look like if it is, and what the next steps would be if you want to move forward. That's the whole conversation. Come in with these three areas as clear as you can make them, and we'll take it from there.